And you're just in time for yet another edition of Siasa Brigade here on Herman Manyora's channel. My name is Richard Mwenjem. Such a pleasure to have you on board. Now today we are looking at matters to do with Mount Kenya politics, and we want to understand what role does the Kikuyu Council of Elders, Kiama, continue to play in shaping the conversations around the politics of the mountain, and what their role was in the just concluded general elections, led by the National Council chairperson, that is Wachira Kiago, and of course the Kiama leader Ndugu Agathioma. We just want to see, are they steering this Council of Elders towards the right direction? That forms the basis of our conversation today on Siasa Brigade, and with me is the only man who can really delve into such issues with the best expertise there in Herman Manyora. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you, Richard.
You're looking good as usual.
Wonderful.
All right.
Yes.
Let's get straight into the conversation. We are looking matters Mount Kenyan politics, and this is a voting bloc that really Deputy President William Ruto get into power by the votes that came from that particular region. And by and large, it is this Council of Elders that is more vibrant than any other in the country, the Kiama. Let's start with the recent call to have this Council of Elders seize the success of truce between DP Gachagua and the former head of state, Uhuru Kenyatta. Why have we seen Uhuru Kenyatta giving it a deaf here? We've had clarion calls from this Council of Elders for there to be unity between the two leaders. But seemingly on this side, DP Gachagua continues to spearhead the message of hatred towards the former head of state and the division therein. Just how soon can these elders see the realization of unity between Uhuru Kenyatta and DP Gachagua, and what does it take for to realize the same?
For DP Gachagua and President Uhuru to sit together, certain things must be in place. First, the DP must know that is not Uhuru Kenyatta's equal. Number one. And number two, following out of that, he must stop the things he's saying about Uhuru. You can't attack the Kenyattas in the manner he does and expect Uhuru to come and sit down with you. Because first of all, I'll say it's not your equal. This man has been head of state for 2 terms. But even if he wasn't, he's a Kenyatta. To be a Kenyatta, many people may think it's just something lightly. It's not a small matter. I've said it repeatedly. DP does not belong the same league with Uhuru Kenyatta.
And he should realize he's not that.
He should realize. No. Accepting certain truth and realities, it's a very easy way of living life. You cannot equate yourself to Uhuru Kenyatta if you are Gachagua.
All right.
But you can be better than him in the future.
But if you're on the right path.
Nothing is permanent. Those who are rich will not permanently be rich. You can also become president for 10 years and perhaps do a better job than Uhuru. And history may judge you much better than Uhuru. The Kikuyus may give you much more respect than they have given Uhuru. But you can't start calling Uhuru names and saying things about him.
But then again, don't you think...
expect that Uhuru can come and sit down with you on a table?
But then again, don't you think that Gachagua successfully been able to run away with the glory that was once at the table of the Kenyatta's family? You've seen how much he tried to sway the Mount Kenya residents not to vote for the candidate that Uhuru was supporting. Many of them went the Ruto way. Don't you think that in the near future, even before the 4 years lapse towards the general election that will be on 2027, the Kenyattas will no longer be a name in Mount Kenya, all thanks to DP Gachagua?
Even assuming these elections were not stolen or messed with, just by looking at the votes Raila got, you can't say you locked him out of Mount Kenya. Just the figures. Without going into the issue, the elections were stolen. For those who say elections were stolen, they are saying they were stolen mainly in Mount Kenya region. But even without that, just the figures on the table, what Chebukati gives Raila, can you say you locked him out? No, you can't say that. Secondly, to respond to issues of glory and what have you, it will take Gachagua a lot more to be anywhere near where the Kenyattas are. The Kenyattas are an institution. Kikuyus sometimes want to lie to us. And even this election, they were lying to us.
But then again, how do you say they are an institution, yet from that very same institution, we saw Captain Kungu Muigai, Uhuru's cousin, go the other way, DP Gachagua supporting Ruto. Don't you see that enough crack is already in that institution?
Captain Kungu is just an insect. He's not. What is he? Is he? Who is he in the Kenyattas?
And he's actually been given even more power, appointed to a parastatal, state parastatal.
Yes.
So it's a combination
being in one parastatal, and Uhuru has been appointing people to all these parastatals. So you cannot equate yourself with the Kenyattas. But the truth is, the Kikuyus may want to argue with me, even as I speak to them, but they hold the Kenyattas in such a high esteem. It will take time for them to replace that name with another person. It is not easy. And let me tell you this. It will not take you long to see the Uhurus, the Kenyattas, moving things in Mount Kenya.
Being the voices behind everything.
You'll see it.
But then again, this is the very same Council of Elders that has...
And I'm not saying they are the best, but I'm just saying I know how things work. I know what the Jaramogi family means in the Luo Nyanza. You may wish to wish it away. It's not easy. It's just like, for example, Gideon Moi. He's sitting on a name, but I think he's not a serious person. That Moi name
is powerful in itself.
Ruto may become president. But if Gideon was a really man, I'm not saying he's not a man, I'm not his wife, but I'm just saying if he was a really man, you may be President Ruto, but you are not in the same class
as the Mois. Then again,
because what happens when people are in power, like Kenyatta and Moi?
You tell me.
You are an institution. You create a network. You have many people who are what they are because of you. There are many strong, influential families that owe it to the Kenyattas and the Mois. And these influential families are the ones who run the show around the mountain and in Rift Valley and in Nyanza. These influential people, occasionally, and this is what I want some people to understand, occasionally people will be excited and they get an outsider. They call them a rank outsider and make him president or something like that. Occasionally. Once in a while they slip through. But they will not easily replace the oligarchs, the influential family. It's not easy to replace them. And one thing I want to tell you, because you are young, you get to know. These rich, influential people we call system, we call deep state.
Dynasties.
There are many names, oligarchs, call them. They are very patient. They are very patient. And they play the long game.
But little.
They play the long game. They play
the long game.
So you think you have removed Moi in 202. But before you die, you are just, all of you are there and Uhuru is the president. Then you want to ask yourself, to what extent have we really replaced Moi? But you are dancing the street, rainbow, rainbow.
Muho Kenyatta come.
And you never took our power from the Mois, from the oligarchs of this country. So, either somebody like Ruto will be completely firmly embraced, or he will just be a passing wind. You just sit there the way Trump upset the status quo, and then they sweep you away.
A passing cloud.
And the oligarchs continue. It is in history, it is everywhere. So you cannot tell me Gachagua can very easily replace the Kenyattas in Mount Kenya.
Very well,
Ruto may replace the Mois because fire begets ash. And quite often we are powerful, but our children may not be as powerful as we were.
Already. Yeah, indeed, we actually seen that happen in Rift Valley, and actually the place of Moi in Kenyan politics right now, Gideon Moi, that is. Moving on swiftly. We are looking at this Council of Elders, and particularly this Kiama. Initially, it was one of those most respected Council of Elders. But if you look at the incidents that happened last year, the divisions and the cracks inside this council, one section installs a party candidate as an elder, the other section doesn't agree with it. We've seen Martha Karua being installed as an elderess, Raila Odinga as an elder, but still within the same council there are people who are not supporting such moves. It has happened over time. Would you say that this Kiama is reducing itself to a puppet council, whereby instead of going as one voice, they are in their cracks and they are actually installing different people as their elders.
It shows you in the Kenyan politics, they are not as important. The Luo kinds of elders or care, whatever they are, they are just there. We saw even in Kalenjin, they were trying to install Gideon
and on the other side,
disrupted.
Yeah.
You saw Justin Muturi, and there were arguments about whether he should or not. You know, in the Kenyan politics, they don't have much space. And that exactly goes back to what I'm saying. The people who call the shots in Mount Kenya are the Kenyattas. Directly or indirectly, you may not know it.
No, these men call themselves elders.
No, they have no space.
The voice of Mumbi.
No. The Kenyattas, because of the power they have over many influential families, the connections they have in business, sometimes even you as a billionaire, your survival in business depends
on the
goodwill and blessings of the Kenyattas. You know, I want Kenyans to look at Rothschild as a good example. Let me tell you this. The way the world today is structured, the link between politics and business, big business, capitalism, they work together. The Kenyatta family, to understand why people like Gachagua must understand, they will never replace the Kenyattas very easily. Where the Kenyattas have reached as a business empire, their local, regional, and international connections, they will soon not need to occupy the State House. That's where the Kenyattas are heading. And that's perhaps why they were supporting Raila, to give them the time they need, another 10 or so years, 5, 10 years. They will not need to be president, but you will not be president in this country, leave alone a kingpin in Mount Kenya. You will not be president in this country without the blessing of the patriarch or the matriarch. It happens in many jurisdictions in the world, where a family has entrenched itself so much, you can't breathe without it allowing you to breathe. People take themselves for blessings. Unaenda unalala flat, unasema I want to run for president in this country. The way I saw the late Job Omino in Kisumu going to Moi, saying, Your Excellency, I want to oppose your minister. Robert Ouko. That was Kali in public. You go and lie prostrate, unalala flat. Unaambia simama kijana. Ulikuwa unasema nini? I want to run for president of this country.
It is that serious.
That's where we are heading. And how it works. It is not easy to dismantle. Because those who must dismantle the Kenyattas are also aiming to be as rich as the Kenyattas. So they don't have the goodwill of the public. The only way you can dismantle the Kenyattas is to enlist the support of the public. It has happened elsewhere. I think in the places like Bangladesh, where the prince, Uhuru Kenyatta, kama kijana Uhuru, surrendered all land that the family had. Then things move. If you enlist the support of the public and you are a president, Manyora has taken over in 2027. Say Kenyans, we want to demolish these oligarchs. I want your support. Muachane na ukabila. If you enlist it and you don't yourself want to be as rich as them, you don't want to join them, you want to be like that poor president of Bolivia or some country as well. Yeah, I think there's a country, some country in South America. I've forgotten the name. That man who lived in a timber house with his dog. That's what Manyora will be. Now it is possible. You can dismantle these people, but it's not easy. But you cannot you yourself be trying to be like them and you dismantle them. You won't. And their money is entrenched. It's what the French call old money. And you are coming with some little cheap new money. You will not dismantle the Kenyattas if you want to replace them, to be like them. You can only dismantle the Kenyattas if you don't want to compete them in riches. Then you enlist the public. Support. And the public sees the sense, the general mood in the country is to ensure those who hold onto property they don't need, which we don't know how they got, we shall take this property. As a way unataka mtu wako na 500,000 acres of land, wewe uko na 10, unataka yako ifike 200. Au utamnyang'anya yake 500 magani?
Very well, sir. In the interest of time, let's wrap up actually with this particular conversation about the decorum that has been seen from the side of Njuri Ncheke. I was speaking the other day with Muranga, member of parliament from Muranga County, and his school of thought was that unlike the Kiama, the only council of elders within the Mount Kenya bloc that has won the trust of the public and even spearheaded the politics of the lay of the land in matters politics is the Njuri Ncheke. The decorum, less divisions therein, and just how they conduct their business. Do you really resonate with his argument that Njuri Ncheke is the only council of elders that is worth the praise and glory?
Yes, and they are not into politics. They are not being bought by politicians to sanitize them. Them, they are sticking to their traditional role. And that role is respected by the community. Their pronouncement on matters within the community, within a tradition and a cultural setup is recognized, appreciated, and respected and obeyed. But the moment you begin to toss into politicians, we are now up 100,000, next one gives you 300,000.
You go to the church and sanitize them.
They will nobody respect you. So in Njuri Ncheke, if they stick where they are, they could be a good example to other similar formations in the country. That so long as you do not move out of the traditional arrangement, where your role was to stand for what is right and correct and good in society, to sanction which is wrong, to be normative in the interest of the society, people will respect you. But if you begin playing the whims of politicians and getting some little money the way politicians do, you lose.
Are you then signaling that now with the likes of Koome, Martha Koome, Kithure Kindiki at the center of power, if Njuri Ncheke continues to conduct its business as it does right now, the future actually portends better fortunes for that particular group that is the Meru?
Yes, yes. The Meru I admire the way they do their things. Njuri Ncheke is not a... Well, I know the world is changing and even them, they are changing, but I've not seen them playing cheap.
All right.
Like these other elders do.
I see. That's why we wrap up this conversation on Siasa Brigade, touching matters, the role of the Gikuyu Council of Elders in shaping conversations within the political landscape of Mount Kenya Regional Bloc, and also what portends the future of other Council of Elders like the Njuri Ncheke, and this far how they have conducted their business. Until next time on Siasa Brigade, my name is Richard Mwenja. Make sure you get posted on our other editions of different shows coming from Jadiel Kabiro, Evans Okinyi, Kennedy Kimtai, and of course yours truly, Richard Mwenja, with Business Glide, and actually this particular show that touches on matters politics. Until next time, see you. But make sure you subscribe to this particular channel. Adios.